when the average professional is at work, when they're attacked, they feel the need to defend themselves and they jump into attack mode or defend mode. And remember that if you do that, if you let other people dictate the narrative of your life, before you finish your first sentence, you're already done. You're over. So don't do that. And you'll notice the top 1%ers, the people who, when I say that, I mean the people who not just seem to get whatever they want because they know how to present things, but people just fall over themselves to help them in whatever plan comes into their head achieve that. People want them to succeed. They help them succeed because they have those communication skills. They never, they never, ever defend themselves at work because they know we only defend what we believe to be vulnerable. That's first of all. And that's a real slippery slope. There are so many things that we are doing wrong when we let somebody else dictate the narrative of our life, when we take the bait, when somebody's trying to get us to focus on something other than our own goal, when we get into the defense mode because now we all of a sudden look guilty. The number one thing that defending does is make you look guilty. So people will say, well, then what am I supposed to do? Here's what you're supposed to do instead. The next time, by the way, if this has happened to you, make sure to write it in the comments so that I can have some direction as to where I'm going, okay? Here's what I would like you to do instead. The next time someone throws you under the bus, you're blamed for something, you're accused of something, whether it's in front of a large group or whether it's maybe just one person, if it's HR, for example. Before you say anything, remember, pausing 3 seconds deliberately shows that I'm in charge of my own direction. I'm in charge of the tempo. I am really going to be in charge of the entire room. If that is you, I had a woman recently during a job interview use that as her strategy, where before every single answer, all she did was pause for 3 seconds. Not only did they give her the job, they gave her 4 times the salary. I believe it's Christine. I'm going to put her testimonial up in our next video. 4 times the salary, because simply doing that, pausing before you speak, it does not make you seem like you are tongue-tied. You don't have the answers. If you are deliberate, you can even say something such as, I wasn't expecting that. Let me think about that for a moment before I respond. And if somebody says, no, we need you to respond right now, well, that may be, but I'm going to need a moment to think about that and decide how I feel before I respond. And you don't say, okay, or you don't say, can you give me a minute to think about that? And that's the next point I wanted to get into. If you simply start pausing, what that will do is your inner self, your brain, will start to observe that you do that. And you will start to actually believe that you are that person who is not led around by the nose by toxic people at work. You will believe that you are that person who does not get ruffled when somebody accuses you of something because they're trying to throw you off your game. And the challenge is when we don't believe we are that person, we give it up. We give it up. We give out, we reveal that in what we say by accident. And the bullies and the people, the toxic people and the people who we're really defending against at this moment on some level, they can sniff it out. And so it is nearly impossible to put up a total front that is effective unless you actually believe yourself to be that person, which is why this is great, because recent studies have shown that we do not gain confidence and start to believe that we are something because we keep doing it over and over again and get better at it. And therefore we gain confidence because we think, okay, I'm better, I'm doing them. I'm gaining ground. That's not how it goes. If you just act yourself into a new way of thinking, it's much easier than thinking yourself into a new way of acting. And what happens is if I just do that, for example, if I exhibit the behaviors that the people who I'm trying to emulate exhibit, for example, I pause before I say something. I let people know, I don't answer on your schedule. I answer on mine. I don't say that, but that's what the message is. You don't dictate to me really anything about my life. It is mine, and I make my decisions, and I'm going to leave you up to yours, and I'm going to do mine. When you exhibit the behavior that they exhibit, your brain observes that and starts to tell you, gives you signals, oh, okay, you are that person. You are the one who's doesn't get his feathers ruffled or her feathers ruffled. You are the one who's not going to let someone else dictate your narrative. You are the one who controls the room. You are the one who can answer any question. You are the one who just doesn't take crap anymore. You are the one who is not going to let anyone write the narrative of your life for one more day. The most effective way to quickly change people's perception of you is not necessarily through what you say, but by the signals you send. Because we interpret things. Our subconscious mind interprets signals and registers those signals as who you are. It creates the identity of you in other people's mind much more quickly and powerfully than our words do most of the time. For example, one signal, I'm going to make up the statistic because I can't remember what it is, but it's something like for every one signal that I send, it's worth 100 words that I could possibly say to get that level of impression that I'm making. Now, again, I made that up, so do not take that to the bank. But it's along those lines. It's something that's overwhelming. When what that means is a signal is going to be something that the person that I would like people to see me as does or is, as opposed to what they say. Do you hear what I'm saying? If you know what I'm saying, write it in the comments. But I want to, for example, the signal that I would be sending if somebody ambushes me at work, if somebody tries to take me off guard, or they throw me under the bus, they accuse me of something, and I simply look at them and say, could you tell me exactly what you're referring to? If that's what I say, like that is one of the lines that I teach people to use because it is not just a line. It signals so many things. And I mean so many. When you say, can you tell me exactly what you're referring to? I'm telling you, I don't deal in blurry communication. Okay. I'm specific because I'm not passive aggressive. And so I'm going to be specific with you and call you out when you are acting in a passive aggressive manner, which is probably when you're going to use a line like that. And I'm telling you, I ask the questions. I am in charge. I'm going to take my time and not just rush to fill the air, because the people who rush to answer things, the people who feel as though they always need to answer simply because somebody else called, they are the ones who, every time they do that, are leaking power all over the place. There are rules of power. There are laws of power. One of the rules is the person who's asking the most questions in any relationship is the one with the perceived power in that relationship. And he who or she who's answering the questions all the time because they feel as though they need to the moment they are asked, they will never have power until they stop doing that. Perceived power. And I'm not talking about, I could care less what most of the time, what people think of me and my powerlessness or powerful image. That's not it. I mean, when I need to be heard, when I need people to take me seriously, when I need to be given the go ahead with my agenda, when I need to be left alone to do what I need to do, when I need to be trusted, when I need you to listen to me, when I need to stand my ground, when I need to push back. It is during those times we can't decide at that moment that I want to now be seen as powerful. And I haven't ever taken any time in the past to prepare for the moments that I need to be seen as powerful. But that's what I mean. If you are answering people because they called, if you are responding to people and taking the bait because you feel the need to always come back, to always fill that silence, as long as you keep doing that, you are never going to have the respect that you deserve. And that will give you and translate directly into the freedom that you deserve. Okay. So that's the biggest thing that we can do is start recognizing, especially if you are being accused a lot, you are being thrown under the bus a lot, pay attention to the signals that you are sending and the signals that would alert people to the people that you are aligning with. Because the things we say and do, the image that we present, sometimes that means by the words we are using. Sometimes that means by the clothes we are wearing. Sometimes that means by the symbols that we are donning. But the signals that you send mean something. And you may be sending signals that you are not even aware you are sending, that's putting you in a category that makes your life so much more difficult than it needs to be. You know, some people are sending signals that they are not trustworthy, that they are dangerous people, and they're not aware of that just because they might have been around some influences that rubbed off on them in a way that now they exhibit some of the signals of people who they are not. Maybe they're not anymore, maybe they weren't ever, but you want to check that, and you want to be very aware of the signals you're sending, because that's going to be the number one thing that will help you not have to defend yourself so much at work. But I wanted to answer some of the questions. Thank you very much, by the way, Jamie, for telling me that I was okay this a few minutes ago. And send signals versus words. That is right. Thank you very much for to Nikki O. Okay, wait a minute. And Jenny, thank you. What gets rewarded gets repeated. It sure does. And one moment. Okay. So I think I'm going to open it up for questions. That's been 15 minutes. I apologize. Okay, dress like you are unique and confident. It's not expensive, but well-fitting, serious. Okay, I have to comment on what Sal Perez just said. I can't agree enough about. I'm a terrible dresser, terrible. I can't believe that my brother let me come on television without or on television, on YouTube without inspecting my outfit, because normally it's just terrible. And I tell people that what I do. Do you all remember Garanimals when those came around? I loved those, but they helped you match things up. I love to go to the Polo store for men because it just everything matches with everything. Not matches. Everything goes with everything else. I don't need to worry about that. All Polo items go with all other Polo items. Women don't have a store like that except for Polo, and you can't always dress in Polo if you're a woman. But I agree with, it's all about fit. For example, not if I'm going to go work on, if I'm going to be a machinist or something, if I'm going to work in daycare, I want to wear comfortable clothes, and that's going to be about it. You know what I mean? But if I'm looking to get a promotion in a corporate environment, it is about structure and and fit, and not going to the bargain basement racks. My cousin taught me that. My cousin was the VP of Macy's, and she and I went shopping, and she's like, "Dan, what are you doing?" And I said, "What? I'm getting a bunch of clothes." And she said, "Most people get clothes that they already have in their closet, and I think that's what you're doing." And I looked and I thought, "Oh my gosh, it's true. I'm getting all the same clothes that I already have hanging up in my closet." And I was caring about a discount. She said, "Dan, if you just invest in some nice pieces, you don't have to come to these crummy stores all the time and keep trying to get, find a good, what do you call it? Like a good find." I'm like, "Yeah, you're right." So I stopped shopping the discount, the impulse buying racks, and started to invest more in pieces and then have them tailored. So you are totally right. Tailored makes all the difference. Just it makes everything just look so much better. Uh, and by the way, I did not say that, but if anybody like Umomo has any shirts that they'd like me to promote, I'd be happy to. Um, well, thank you very much, Sal. Do I? But see, look at this. Look at this. I'm going to show you one of the best tips I ever had. Because Sal, I forgot this. By the way, Sal, what is your real name? Or your first name, if it's not Sal? I normally will not consider myself fully dressed until I have these little collar stays. If you don't use these, it's the magnetic ones. Okay, so you put in one, and I also have a magic collar underneath this to hold your collar up. Watch how good this is going to look when I'm all done. Okay, so you have these metal collar stays, and then you have magnets. Whoops. And you do this, hiya, hiya. And look at that. It's like, see, this is with the magnetic collar stays, and this is without. Okay, this is and then I'm so professional. So if you are a man and want to just instantly make your outfit look nicer, or if you have a man in your life that you would like to help look nicer and still dress the same way, it just makes everything look so like, watch this. Okay, this is all sloppy now. So I apologize for going through my whole video sloppy. Okay, but I already have them built. Whoops, there they go. Whoops. Okay, so I have them. Oh, I was checking. Okay, wait a minute. Here we go. So the other side. Okay. Here we go. Look at this. Look at this. Hiya, hiya. Okay. By the way, while I'm doing this, the 1% meeting that we're having on the 7th is free, and it's a fantastic. It's a new event. So even if you went to the last events that I was giving, this is very different from the last ones. There we go. Now look at that. And in this upcoming event on February 7th, the only way to get an invitation to it is to click on a link here or in one of our other videos like this on YouTube for subscribers. But it's going to be so awesome. We're going to talk about some more specific signals, visual, verbal, and vocal, and how you can use them to decrease the amount of times you're, number one, put on the spot or ambushed or things like that. But how to turn the tables when people are trying to basically push you out of work. And especially if you are over 40. You know what? If you are an over 40 woman, you know exactly what I mean. When I say people talk in coded language, people do not call it ageism. They do not call it misogyny. But if you're a woman over 40, you know all of the challenges that that brings and all of the ways that you can be humiliated, you know, but that people will try to humiliate you and take away your power. And whatever you do, don't let that happen. And if that is happening to you, make sure to join us on the 7th. And again, it's free. Just click the link below and you'll really like that. Okay. Actions speak louder than words. That's right. You like that background? Well, thank you. And thank you very much. I do give you the words. And total change, more fitted and clean. Oh, right. The shirt. Isn't that just awesome? I love these little magnets. So you can get them. I'm not going to sponsor anybody, but you can get them all over the place. Just make sure you get the super magnets and that you get the metal collar stays that are actually that work with magnets. Some of them do not work with magnets. I think the aluminum type don't. And you're like, oh, why'd I get these? And it's just a waste of money. And if you couple it with one of these things that go inside your collar to make it stand up, woo, they pass out. They can't take it when you walk down the street. The women, especially the 80-year-old women, they pass out as you go by them. Mm-hmm. Okay. So yeah, magnets are great. I love using magnets. Okay. How do you de-escalate a road rage situation? I like to know where my lane is. And by the way, thank you for being a member, Ms. Pyro. I cannot tell you about a road rage situation because that's way outside of my lane. But let me think about how I can get you an answer. When you say a road rage situation, you mean like, would it be you road raging, or is somebody? Has that happened to you? Or people come up and like try to run you off the road, or come up to your window? And I'll tell you what my grandma May did. My grandmother May used to carry like a weight in her car. I don't know if this is true or not, but everybody says it happened. And so there was a truck that was following her home when she was coming home from being an switchboard operator, and it was in Chicago, and she was a tough Chicago woman. And so he came up to her window and stuck his face in her window to tell her off, and she took that weight and went boom and punched him in the face and then drove off. So that's one option, but I don't really recommend violence under normal circumstances. Okay, escalate. Okay, fighting over a parking spot. Oh, who was the first? Okay. Yes, I do have a way to handle that. Now I'm just going to tell you what I do, what has happened to me. And my mother has been with me a couple of times because I have no other friends besides my mother. And she's commented on when I've done things like this. If I'm going into a space and two of us, I start fighting over it, it's going to be very, very rare that I would do anything other than say, why don't you just take it? You know, and I would make a conscious effort, and I would encourage you to make a conscious effort to let them have that space, but do not suffer the Benjamin Franklin effect. And we'll talk about that in a moment. But the reason why I recommend and tend to let people have that space, if that is me, and I just drive and find the next space, because above and beyond everything else, I believe in an abundance in the universe. And I believe that if there is a parking space there will be another parking space for me. And as my cousin Molly told me once, my cousin Molly Davies, hi Molly, she said, I'm gonna put this in as user-friendly terms as I possibly can. She said something to me once when I was looking for a good spot. She said, "Why are you looking for a good spot? We are able-bodied people who can walk, and, neither one of us could really" something about how both of us could use the exercise, if you know what I mean, Dan, and I'm all and so I thought to myself, "You know what? There are so many things in life that are important. That is not one of them." And so I don't want to send the signal. That's another thing. I don't want to send the signal to myself that my life is at that level where I'm taking the time to focus on and have a what could be a dangerous situation because this world is so crazy. I mean, I've seen it, and until you've probably until you've had a fighting over a parking space turn into a somebody's calling the cops situation, it's not worth it. And I don't want to walk away thinking, "Oh, you're not worth it. Fine, take it." I mean, in a very positive way, I want to be grateful for the opportunity to recognize that, you know what? First of all, I'm grateful that I could give this, and I'm going to, with a happy heart, say, and with an abundance, there are plenty more spots. You take this and give it away. And then I'm going to enjoy the time, whether it's breathing the air or walking and enjoying my body or whatever it may be, looking for the opportunity that was waiting for me on the path that was longer to the door. Whatever it may be, those are not the battles that I would encourage you to fight. And if you keep doing it, this is the last thing I'll say about that. If you keep instead of surrendering those, and saying, "Oh, here you go." If you keep letting those things take your focus or your energy, it's difficult to get to the next level. Whatever level you're at, maybe you're at level 3, which means you have level 3 problems and you have level 3 solutions. You can't get to level 4 with level 3 thinking. And as long as we're still thinking at level 3, meaning I'm going to take my time to fight over parking space. Like, for example, I know some little bitties who will take the time out of their day to stop, to stop, to stop total strangers in a Walmart parking lot and be like, "Hey, that's not where the carts go. That's not where the carts go." I think if I was his wife or husband and he got into a fight, got my car smashed in, got put in jail, or God forbid anything happened to him because he decided to be the cart police at Walmart, I would be so furious. I don't know if I would even mourn. So I just want to throw that out there. Okay. Oh, but fighting over a parking spot, who was first situation? Okay, yeah, that's the one. Yeah, I would not do that. I just wouldn't. By the way, this is the last thing. I have found that when I say to people and mean it, I mean, you have to with your spirit and intention, say things like, "That's okay, you take it." No, and you think there's something even better for me around the way. You take this one. I swear, every time you park, and then on the way that you are, on making your way from a different spot, something miraculous will happen, and you will get rewarded. Karma is instant, and you find out more examples of that when you start doing little things like that. How do you respond to a disrespectful recruiter who is being defensive and mocking towards you? Is it kind of unjust to be humiliated? That is an interesting question. Okay, the Justicery 1246. I'm just not 100% clear, okay? So help me through this. How do you respond to a disrespectful recruiter who is being defensive and mocking towards you? Is it kind of unjust to be humiliated? I think what you're saying is, how would I respond to that? I don't want to be humiliated, right? Is that what you're saying? If that's what you're saying, my father always said that when he finds a good spot, they knew they were coming. I like that, Angela. Okay, so how do you respond to a disrespectful recruiter who's being defensive? Okay, what I believe is going on here, I have to kind of go with. I'm not exactly 100% clear, but for the disrespectful recruiter, I have to come to any situation, the recruiter, if it's a coworker who's being disrespectful, with the right mindset, not for happy, hippie happy reasons, for me to get the words out in the right tone and to be the right person to say things like this, I have to assume that everybody really is honest and they're speaking honestly. They're doing the best they can with what they have. They're doing their best and they're not meaning to be, for example, offensive, things like that. So that said, if somebody were to say demeaning things or, cutting things like, oh, I see, I see you're really a stick with the type of guy. And they're when you had maybe jumped around a lot on your resume, or that's the type of thing that they're doing, making belittling comments. People usually say things like that in a passive aggressive manner, which means they're not being upfront about it. They're saying one thing, but they're meaning another. They're saying, wow, you're really good at keeping jobs for a long time, aren't you? When they mean you hop around a lot. And the reason that they do that is because they want an out. They want to be able to say, what? No, I didn't mean that. I was just kidding. I didn't mean that. I don't know what you meant. I love saying that to people. I don't know what you meant. I just know what you said. I don't have the powers of ESP. I don't have extrasensory perception. I just know the words that come out of your mouth, and the words that came out of your mouth were. And the reason I'm saying all of that is that's kind of the main message that you would like to send, I believe. If this is the right situation and the recruiter is making comments that are underhanded, passive aggressive, call them out using clarifying questions. You could use just a simple blacklight, excuse me, not a blacklight question, I'm just going to say a spotlight question. Spotlight questions are questions that begin with, are you trying to? And the reason I'd say to begin with is if you have lead-in lines, if you have the beginnings of sentences and you have practiced saying them so that you have several lead-in lines to help you deliver entrance lines, exit lines, navigational phrases, what do you call it? Transitional phrases. The more lead-in lines, starter phrases you have, the easier it is to end your sentences. And the lead-in line, the starter phrase for a blacklight, for a spotlight question. You need to know the names of all the questions. And in my years, I get them mixed up just like I would kids. They start off with, are you trying to? So try that. The next time you believe somebody's engaging in that type of behavior, ask them. That's not rude. That's being upfront and assertive and standing up for yourself. Remember how I was just talking about how the brain sees us do things, takes in the signals that we send it, and decides who we are, just like it does with everybody else, just like it does with everybody else. And so if you are somebody who does not stand up for yourself as much as you would like to, and you walk away from things like that, kind of replaying it in your mind and thinking, I should have said this, I should have said that. Why do I let people say things like that to me? Say things like, are you trying to insult me? Are you trying to say that my experience isn't what it should be? Are you trying to say that you see me job hopping a lot? Are you trying to say that my experience isn't on par with some of the other applicants? Are you saying what I like to do is call out something really clear like that? Like, are you saying that my experience isn't on par with some of your other applicants? That type of non-judgmental, I'm not talking about people, I'm talking about my experience. And I'm saying, are you saying this? Are you trying to do this? Are you trying to, or for example, are you trying to embarrass me? Is that what you're trying to do? Are you trying to, and I like to say that with a really low tone like that in your power tone. Your power tone is the tone that has a certain vibration that I teach you. Actually, on the 7th, we do an exercise about finding your power tone. So if you feel as though people might not take you seriously or might not listen to you and it might have something to do with something that you can't put your finger on, it could be your tone. Come to see us on the 7th and we can take care of that for you. But you want to have your power tone and say things like, pause. Are you trying to insult me when you say that? That could be a very simple spotlight phrase. You could use a clarifying question. When you say this, are you trying to say that? And you have to practice these, by the way, because we do drills, for example, in our live sessions like we're going to do on the 7th. And when you drill, you start changing the pattern, because in these moments of stress, it doesn't matter if you learned something. What happens when you are under pressure, as the Navy SEALs say, is that you do not rise to the occasion. It is in those moments when you are under extreme pressure, or even, during a job interview that could count, that you reveal who you believe you are. You fall to your highest level of training. And that means you reveal who you believe yourself to be. Because if you train for moments like that, so that when you need them, the words are there where you can say, when you say that it appears as though I have great staying power, are you trying to say that it appears as though I don't, and that maybe I'm not as strong as an applicant as my cohorts. Is that what you're trying to say? And then, no, that's not what I'm trying to say. Well, that's, I don't know what you meant, but that's what you said. Those are the words that you said. And if that is in fact what you're trying to say, you can just come right out and say it. I can take it. Like I like to use props, by the way, and let people know that you can take it. Just come right out and say what you have to say there, Tootsie. And when you do that, it's so disarming, especially, by the way, if you are an introvert and you find it difficult to speak up, if you are neurodivergent or something like that, this is going to be life-changing for you. And you will be able to do it much more quickly, and you will learn these techniques much more quickly. See, some people learn things more quickly. Some people learn things more thoroughly. We all get to the same point in the end, but you will generally get there the quickest. If you are an introvert and you're on the spectrum and you say, I just want to know how to do this, that, and the other, you learn it, you do it, your brain witnesses you being that person, and then it says to you, that's who you are. And then it's instant confidence. I mean, it's just, what phrases instantly lower tension without conceding your position? Oh, I'll give you some excellent ones for that. For example, if you are, I'm assuming what you're saying is let's say, having a discussion about what direction a project should go in. I'm hoping that it's not about politics at work, but let's just say something like that type of thing. And you want to say, look, let's just agree to disagree, because you know that if we say, let's agree to disagree, those are fighting words. That's not going to, de-escalate anything. And I have to preface this by saying there are certain words and phrases that when we hear them, it makes us on a biochemical level respond either in a negative way or a positive way. Like when somebody says to us, Dan, we need to talk. That's going to make you want to barf with all of the chemicals that get released in your body, because, no one's ever said, we need to talk. I just bought you a brand new car. Dun, dun, dun. So there are things that we've been trained to just hear and go, ugh. And some of them that creates a toxic, I'm going to fight you now state within us are words like, let's just agree to disagree. I disagree with you. When somebody says, I disagree with you, I don't agree, I disagree, let's agree, I respectfully disagree, they're all fighting words. Don't say any of that. Instead, talk about how you see it and your perspective. So that is the way I would do it. Once you are done talking and you're like, I get it. I get it. I hear what you're having. I understand. If your point is to cut it off and say, I don't want to talk about this anymore, but I still want to honor you, because, if you're honoring me by deciding that I'm worthy of listening to and hearing my point of view and all of that, well, I want to return that as often as possible. And the way that I do it is you say something such as, well, I understand that's the way you see it. I simply see it differently. Now, I might add, but go ahead. This is interesting. Tell me more. If I really, really want to lay it on thick, and I think I really do want you to feel as though I am listening to you, and I do want to hear more. So I see it differently, or I have a different perspective, or I simply, wait a minute, I see it how I'm looking at it. I look at it, I'm looking at it from a different perspective. Just talk about the angle that you are seeing it, because not only is that a defense chemical free way of saying things, but it also is true. According to quantum physics and the physics as we know, when I change how I look at things, if I see something differently from the way you see it, it is because the thing I am looking at is different from this perspective. It is different. It's not like it appears different. It is different from my perspective. So I'm just saying that because there's a lot of truth in that we sometimes overlook. And you can talk all you want, but I see it from a different perspective. And if that is the case, and you want people to shut up, then I would use the broken record with that. Well, that may be, but I simply. And then if I would not add but go ahead, this is interesting, tell me more. I would leave that out if I don't want them to tell me more. But if they keep going and keep going, and they keep trying to pull you back in, just remember, well, that may be, but I simply see it differently. I still see it differently. I understand the way you see it. I simply see it differently. I respect the way you see it. I simply see it differently. Now, that said, I really, really encourage you, if you have a situation where you could say that, where you're trying to let somebody know, I see it differently, and you're at work or at home, actually. This is a great tactic for home. It tends to be, if we are the people who are looking for a way to deal with that situation, You probably are someone who could also benefit from being seen as more fair and flexible in your thinking, because changing your mind is a sign of wisdom. However, if you cannot change your mind on something, don't choose to change your mind on something. Let's say that you have a particular view, and that's the way TI is, and it's not going to ever change. Look for ways to surrender when you can. And what I mean by that is, we all want people to surrender to us, right? The Women tend to be better at this because women tend to play a longer game when it comes to communication. Men tend to look at the situation, assess it, and play their cards based on right now, this moment. We don't think back or forward. Women tend to play a long game, and they're really good. And I'm just you are women are at, like, you're in a moment. They say something, like my mother, because I have no friends. We'll be talking, and she'll ask me a question. She'll say, so, I'll answer it. Then she'll say, "Well, do you want me to do the X, Y, Z for you?" I'll be like, "Oh, that'd be great. Okay, thanks, mom." Da, da, da. And 10 minutes later, I'm like, "Wait a minute!" And I realize she's been plotting to get that answer from me for so long, and then she's already left the room. you know, having gotten the permission that she was looking for to do whatever it is that I would otherwise deny her permission to do. So she's a long game player, and we need to be a little bit longer game playing. So if you are in that situation where you are finding it necessary to tell people, I can understand why you might see it that way. I simply see it differently. But go ahead, tell me more. This is interesting. You probably are somebody who is not seen as fair and flexible as you could be. And the reason you want to be seen as fair and flexible and someone who would change her or his mind, again, because that's a sign of wisdom, but because you want people to do that with you. And when I have the opportunity to let somebody know, I see it differently, and I do not see how you're seeing that. I don't get it. But why don't you go ahead and do that, and I'll support you, because that will help you then when I need it in the future. Do that for me. Take advantage of those opportunities. And the way that you put that into words, the easiest phrase is, so and so, it's difficult for me to see how that's going to work. That said, I trust your judgment and you have my support. Like, every single word of that is scripted. There was not one bit of that is freestyle, because without going into detail, every one of those words works for you. Well, John, so and so, it's difficult for me to see how that's going to work. I am letting you know, I am putting it on record. I'm not on board with this. I'm not on this train. I'm also putting it on record, although I disagree with you. Look at how fair and flexible I am, because I'm following that up with not just any old words, but I trust your judgment and you have my support. I trust you even though I don't agree with you on this situation and this thing. And not only that, I'm going to support you, although I do not agree with you. Why? Because I trust your judgment. So what would that ipso facto mean? If you are the listener, you're going to think, God damn, you're a good judge of character. You are so smart. You are a great judge then. And all of a sudden, because how could they not if you're telling them, although I see it differently, I trust you so much, I will support you in this. And then when you need support, you will be more likely to get it, much more likely to get it, because you're seen as somebody who supports others, even when you don't agree with them. And as an added bonus, you already now are on record for, if you need to in the future, say sometime, hey, I told you that would not work, which we very rarely have an occasion to do. You're on record for having said at the beginning, you did not see how that's going to work, but you supported them because that's the type of person you are. And so there's just no losing with that for you. It's a great win-win strategy. Okay, without conceit. So that's what I would say. Now there are many more. Again, come to see us on the 7th if you wanted to get more strategies for what the big thing that I believe you want to do is you want to maintain your power without being seen as weak, without being seen as, now, by the way, when I say weak, I want to be the opposite of weakness. And I'd like you to think about what the opposite of weakness is and jot it into the comments if you have a moment that you can do that. Because most people think of the opposite of weakness as great strength, right? Strength. That's it. That's the opposite of weakness. But not necessarily. When I think of what it takes to keep the planets moving around the sun, to keep me held together when all signs are pointing to I should be falling apart at this moment. What's holding me together when I have nothing? that really should be holding me up. It's that stuff that's within the stuff, within the stuff, within the stuff that makes us up. That's love. You can call it whatever you want. You can call it God. You can call it the God particle, I think they call it. I just think it's love. It's what we come from. It's in us, but not of us. When I die, it does not die. And that thing, that love, that is, I believe, that's what creates. That is what creation is made of. I believe that is more the opposite of weakness than what we generally traditionally tend to think of as people who are strong. Really, when I'm talking about using scripts and phrases and things like that, that's when we are in the phase of trying to become a different person. Once you are that person, the words and all of that, that's just icing on the cake. Do you think love is a feeling of comfort or a choice to be with a person? Oh, I think love, that's a good question. I don't know. Just the justicery. But I'll tell you what when I think of love, here's what I think of it as. And I do not know. I'm just saying this is my picture. I think of love as that stuff that I'm made up of, that is in me but not of me, that is always with me. And I think a lot of my grandmother when I think of love, because I think if I try to, and I'm not, I'm at a scale of 1 to 100, I might be at a 1 in terms of 100 being the best at this. But I try to be as loving as I can with my romantic relationships. I try to ensure that I'm focusing on being a friend to them, making them more brotherly. And in my friendships, in my family, making that more romantic. Because there is just one love that I think is real. And it's the love of that I can sometimes, I don't know why you asked me this. Sometimes I can shepherd and take care of love. I can nurture it. I can hold it. I can work with it. It can flow through me. It can heal me. I can see it. I can taste it. I can give it. I can take it. It is not mine to give. You know what I mean? It is not coming from me. Forgiveness is. So that's a little bit different. And that's the gift that I give to the world. But love, I believe, is a thing and a thing that I can give and take. And when I talk about love, if your question was simply, and I'm sure you're regretting it if it was, if your question was, are you talking about falling in love with somebody or just talking about, I love you and want the best for you? I just think that that love takes many different forms. And I'm just talking about that form that we all would understand to be the love of my father. Maybe my mom. I don't know. I'm joking. I'm joking, mom. Okay. Resilient, vulnerability. Thank you. Thank you for giving that word. That's a good one. Do you think love is a feeling? You just asked that. Okay. Dan, who is your favorite Lord of the Rings character? I haven't seen the Lord of the Rings. I don't know. Which one do you think represent the I don't know the Lord of the Rings. I mean, I know from the clips that, there's the guy with the rings, my precious. I know that guy. But I don't know anything. I don't know anything about it. I heard they're very good. Okay. Should phrases be about the angle or perspective to lower tension, such as can we stay on topic or we have a timeline? Should phrases be about the angle or perspective to lower the tension? Okay. What comes out of your mouth should be about whatever the goal is at the moment. So if the goal is sometimes, for example, what the goal is, sometimes it's like a disease. Excuse me, it's not like a disease. I was going to say something. Let's say that you're going shopping and you want to get a new outfit and you just don't know what to get. Sometimes you have to start with what you don't want. I definitely don't want, that sequin dress. I definitely don't want the halter top. I don't want the enough with the Birkenstocks, please. I don't want, I just, there's sometimes we have to start with what we don't want. That said, the reason I'm saying that is because sometimes we need to take note of what we don't want to be. Sometimes the phrases are to help us stay on point, as you said. Sometimes it's to help us keep on message. I try to ensure that my words are loving and not hurtful or embarrassing or are loveless, because I'm a selfish person and I'm a selfish communicator. And I want to be clear about that. It's not because I'm a nice person. I try to be a compassionate, kind, loving person out of self-interest because I know how the universe works. I know the laws of the universe, and I know the karma is instant, and I know what's really going on if I were to try and speak loveless words to somebody. That's I don't wanna hit myself over the head with a hammer because it feels so good when I quit, you know? So, when I say this, when I talk about I want people to be comfortable and I want them to know that I'm a loving, safe person to be around, that I will not in any I won't I'm here to do you no harm. That is out of self-interest because I know how the universe works. To that said, sometimes I want to know and I need it brought to my attention what I'm not here to do. For example, in a meeting at work, we were just talking about this in our seventh in our excuse me in our 1% communicator course. One of the signals here's what I'm going to go on this is about what you just asked. One of the signals that we tend to send that totally sabotages our image at work is we try to make other people feel comfortable. We care about if other people like what we're saying, how comfortable they feel. We worry about being nice. We think about, oh, that's not a very nice thing to say. And then we think, well, I don't want to be, I'm still going to be nice just because you're nasty. That doesn't mean I have to be nasty. I just heard somebody say this. That does not mean I have to be nasty. I can still be nice unless you are in Wonderland and you are hosting a tea party and there's some man with a strange look on his face with a top hat that's oversized and there's a talking rabbit. You're not at a goddamn garden party and you are not the hostess with the mostest and this is not the interview round of Miss America. And people who people who I say that because people really need to get that through their heads. If your concern is I want to make sure that you're comfortable. Why are you auditioning for a Stepford wife position? And it's mostly women who tend to do that. Some men, I do that. And yes, I was auditioning for an Alice in Wonderland or hostess position, whichever came first. Now I get it. I get it. Not only should I not care about your feelings, and now I don't mean I'm going to go around hurting your feelings on purpose. That doesn't serve me or you. What I mean is, if I have a message to send and it is, we're going to stay on, like it sounds like what you're saying is in a meeting. If I need to say, hey, eyes up there, can I say that in a loving way or do I have to be a jerk about it? Sometimes if people feel uncomfortable because I'm stating what the rules of engagement are, reminding them of it, I should say, because I should make that clear from the beginning. But if I have to remind you of what the rules of engagement are and you're uncomfortable with that, maybe you need to be a little uncomfortable. Really. I mean, maybe that's because you're doing something that you shouldn't be doing. And it's not me making you feel uncomfortable. I'm simply doing my job, pointing it out, whatever it may be. But whatever you feel right now, unless it is my concern, it's not my concern. Unless I am hosting a garden party, I'm not hosting a garden party. So that should not be what I'm thinking about. And people tend to worry about that too much. Is that okay? Well, is that okay with what? Who's judging you? So if you feel good about it and you feel as though you did the best you could, you said it in a loving, respectful way, the judge of whether or not you were successful in your communication is how you feel about it. And don't let other people dictate the success or failure of your relationships. That's for you to decide and you alone. Okay. I'm Gandalf. I don't know who Gandalf is, but thank you. How to respond to love and also deter repeated bad behavior from a colleague. Well, I think that what we have to do all the time when in situations like this, without knowing more about your situation, we have to recognize they're not doing that with everybody. Whatever behavior they're engaging in with you. Now you might say, yeah, they are. No, they're not. There's one person that they do not engage in that with, and it's because they know that person does not reward their behavior. So like when I read your comment, what I heard was repeated bad behavior. That's what I saw. Repeated bad behavior from a colleague. Why is it repeated? If it's repeated, what gets rewarded gets repeated. What does not get rewarded does not get repeated. Now, we might be missing what the reward is. You might think, I don't reward their behavior. I bring them to the mat every time they do that. Haha, ding, ding, ding. We have to really pay attention. What are the rewards I might be giving that I don't even know are rewards? Maybe it's that I'm putting up with it. Maybe it's that I'm engaging with it. Maybe it's I'm taking the bait. And the last thing you want to do in those situations when you're not sure what the plan is, do not trust your gut. You hear a lot of people say, just trust your instincts. Just, go with your gut. Those people tend to be very unsuccessful in terms of relationships and communication. They probably, whatever requires communication, which is just about everything, to achieve success in whatever field they're in, if they're saying things like trust your gut, it's because they're at a very immature level. They have not yet realized that our gut and our emotions are built, have evolved to betray us. Period. That's their job, to betray us. When I meet somebody and I fall in love with them, it's my emotions' job to drug me and put chemicals more powerful than the biggest tab of LSD I could possibly find, because my body wants me to see something that is not there. It's vagining me, and it's phenylethylamine is the love drug that is the love. It puts on my love goggles, and we start to see things that 2 years later are not there anymore, and you're like, how could I have seen that in that person? Well, you were wearing the love goggles of phenylethylamine, and the reason I'm saying that is because our body and our emotions wants to get us to do certain things, sometimes for our survival. Mate with them. That will help you. Our genes talk to one another. Our DNA will talk to somebody sitting next to us, their DNA, and say, oh, wow, you have immunities to diseases that they don't have. You guys would make good children. Let's send up some phenylethylamine so that you'll mate. And we get drugged, we hallucinate, see things that are not there. And then, that's how families are started, little boys and girls. And so what I want to do is recognize that, a fish's instinct when they see a shiny lure in the water, a hook attached to a worm, their instinct is to go and grab it and eat it. That's how they get caught. So you cannot tell me that instinct is what we should go on, or, our gut, our emotions, none of that. You want to fall to your highest level of training. You want to recognize what the areas are that you struggle with. Train, because in those moments, the amygdala in your brain, what it does is it's thousands, it's a lot older than the rest of our brain. And when we are under stress, it goes ping, and it shuts down the part of our brain where language lives. And the reason that it does that is because it wants to protect us, and it's going to use all of the resources that it can to help us run real fast or beat this person up. And, Mary from accounting is not, she's not posed a physical threat to you. So she's not hiding a spear behind her back. And so if you can't see her hands, that might make you instinctively nervous, but you do not have to whip out the what do you call it, the rhinoceros tusk, and bludgeon her with it anymore. So I would say, I can't even remember what your what your question was. Hold on a minute. I'm Glendolf, whatever. Okay, whatever that guy is, I have to check it out. How to respond with love and repeated. Okay, that was it. Repeated bad behavior. Okay, so what I want to do is just recognize what part am I playing in this, and stop playing that. And that's to start. So just do that to begin with, and you will notice a huge difference. Okay, perceived tone in a politely worded message. Okay, assume their goal is to climb the ladder. Okay, they weaponize feedback. That's funny that you would say that. That is a topic in our 7th of February 7th. You guys, if that was you, whoever put up the weaponized feedback, come to the meeting on the 7th. You'll love it, because what happens is, if you don't know what they're talking about, people will give us feedback, just some constructive criticism at work. And what they're really trying to do is they're trying to take away our dignity, is what they try to do. They're trying to belittle us and knock us off our pedestal, or whatever they think they're doing. They are not lifting us up. They are trying to humiliate. That's what it is. They're humiliating with that. Am I getting it right? Is that what they're trying to do? Yeah, the Reframe part with a smile. Yep. And then they say, then they can hide. That's the passive aggressive thing. They're hiding behind the shield of, I'm just trying to deliver some constructive criticism. And I know what you want to do, because that's not true. And if somebody does that, the moment they do it, that's where you want to, again, call them on their behavior. And you do that by saying things such as, if they were to say, I think you'd be open to a little constructive criticism. Well, I am open to criticism that is constructive. I'm not open to. I like to use phrase, by the way, what I'm about to use is, I like to use phrases like, I am open to this. I'm not open to that. I do like this. I don't like that. I do understand this. Do you understand that? For example, I am open to criticism. I'm not open to being insulted or humiliated. And then the trick is, you zip it. You know what I mean? People, they tend to say way too much. So you would say something like, I understand what constructive criticism is and how it's effective. Do you understand that what you just delivered does not fall in that category at all? Do you understand that? You want to tell people, I understand what constructive criticism is. I understand what a review is. Do you understand that what you just did is so outrageous that it falls in none of those categories? Constructive criticism, managerial behavior, none of it. Do you understand that? You know what I mean? Like, or you might want to spell it out. I understand what a review is and what criticism is. Do you understand that what you just did was passive aggressive? And I'm going to ask you. Now, this is where I would use one of these clarifying questions. When you said this, did you mean to say that? Like, for example, when you said that I did this, that, and the other, did you mean to say that I'm incompetent? And did you try to humiliate? Are you trying to humiliate me in front of my peers? Is that what you're trying to do? Like, if this is in front of other people, right there in front of everybody, it's a very treacherous predicament you might find yourself in, because you want to be very clear and upfront when you call them out without taking the bait, without engaging in that type of behavior yourself, without being loveless. How do you do that? Well, instead of, for example, defending yourself, this is the big one. Instead of defending yourself, and I'm going to close with this, define the situation. For example, don't address what they said. Never address what they say, okay? So if somebody's insulting you in front of other people, if somebody is questioning your credentials in front of other people, if somebody's asking you to explain yourself, how did you get that done? If any of that happens, pay no attention to the words and focus on what they're doing. For example, Mark, I'm surprised that you would try to embarrass me like this and call me out in front of my peers in a meeting instead of coming to me in private, man to man, like I do with you. Surprised you would do that. You know what I mean? I'm just telling you. And by the way, if you find it difficult to be, I don't want to say confront, because it's putting the wrong energy on this. If you find it difficult to call people out on their behavior and make them accountable, you're really bringing it to the light. This is enlightened communication. I'm trying to, from an enlightened place, show you what's really going on instead of trying to hide behind a veil of, humor or managerial hogwash. So I'm just trying to bring things to light and say something, call out what they're doing, not what they're saying. So if they're saying, Jan, it's my understanding that this is all your fault. I hope people don't talk like that, but if they did, when you do that, it's not just the words that you're saying. You are sending a signal to everybody there. I'm not a level 1 player, and that's a level 1 tactic. I'm a level 2 player, and I'm going to call out level 1 tactics, but I'm not only sending the signal to everybody in that room, I'm sending it to myself so that in the future, I don't make those mistakes that reveal that I'm not really 100% confident in that thinking. Walking through those motions sends the signal to your brain that this is the way you really are. This is the way you think. This is the level you're on. And the neuroplasticity starts to work in our favor, and our brain starts to find new connections and new ways of thinking or new connections, new fibers to connect to help us become the person that it already sees us as. You act yourself into a new way of thinking. The Alcoholics Anonymous is one of my favorite programs in the whole wide world because it's helped so many people transform into other people. And one of the ways that it does that is it tells people, don't try to think yourself into a new way of acting. You know what I mean? Like, don't try to think, oh, I gotta be sober. I gotta be sober. I gotta be sober. Instead, go where sober people go. Act like them. Do what they do. Watch, it just rubs off on you and it's so much easier. Act yourself into a new way of thinking. Your brain's now there's scientific evidence to back up what they already had said. Your brain watches that, says, okay, that's what you're acting like. Let's see if we can make you into that thing. I'm all about the easy way. If I could act myself into a new way of thinking, I'll do it. And Jennifer, I am sorry that that's happening too. I wish that I could answer all of your questions, Shitty Manager, with a threat. Hold on, I got to get this one. Justice Ree. If you continue to ask me questions, I will call the upper supervisors to remove you. Dan, what would you say to this? I would stop asking questions. I would. That's something that I get a lot. People will say, I have this supervisor that keeps telling me things like, stop bringing this to me. They'll say things like, stop asking me questions. And they're like, well, I need to know. No, you need to figure it out. The managers will say, and they'll be like, how can I get them to answer my questions when they're telling you to stop asking questions? When people tell us what they, like a supervisor, manager, boss, when they tell us stop doing this and listen to that. So they might say it in a really uneducated way. They might say it in a really buffoon way. That's not about you. Take the message anyway of stop asking so many questions and stop asking questions. Maybe use the communication stoplight. I have to have a tool for everything because if you don't have a tool, you tend not to put anything into practice. The communication stoplight is, there are 3 questions you ask yourself before you speak. Number 1, does this need to be said? If I get a green light, then you go to question number 2. Does this need to be said by me? Then by getting a green light. Now, if it's, I'm not sure, it's a red light, okay? It has to be yes by you, okay? Does this need to be said by me right now? That's question number 3. If you get a green light on all 3 of those, then go ahead and ask that question. But at your peril, if your boss has told you not to do that anymore. But under normal circumstances,